What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Integrative You Radio. You have Dr. Nicole here riding solo again. Life has been crazy over here, guys. Two kids and birthdays galore in November. Yeah. So anywho, for those of you that have either worked with us or have explored working with us, we've probably heard us talk about how most people embarking on a healing protocol will plateau in about 6 weeks. And it is actually one of the main reasons we have designed our programs to be the way that they are. So when people work with us, we are working very, very hands on with them through a concierge type of model, but we are always doing a 6 week reevaluation and then a 12-week reevaluation, especially when we first get started with someone. When we first get started with someone, more often than not, we're helping them to eliminate things out of the body that shouldn't be there. This could be different types of toxins and heavy metals, pesticide residues, infections, parasites, mold, bacteria, etc. And, I want to just say this is, I feel like my industry is so saturated with like detox, 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 kill, 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 get rid of, mold. Everybody has mold. And that's not what I'm saying, but what is important to understand is that the majority of the people that I work with, their liver, kidneys, and lymphatic system, more liver than anything, it is kind of taxed out. It's like they kept using the vacuum and the filter got full and nobody has dumped the filter. So it is pretty standard that we're working on some level of cleanup with an individual because these organs that are vital to processing and metabolizing normal things that we come in contact with are just maxed out, especially if you are 40, 50, 60 and above. So, getting back. The 6 week reevaluation, we don't necessarily rerun blood work labs. Sometimes we run some urine testing, but we run our DNA testing and we also retest the DNA to see, are we continuing with the same types of supplements, therapies, protocols, or are we tweaking some things? And in most situations, we are having anywhere between a 50% to 100% change in everything that we're doing, from lymphatic drainage techniques to supplements to herbs to detox to all of the above. And the reason is partly because the body has changed so much in that time frame, but it's also because if you just keep going, more than likely people are going to not have as much profound effects. I heard it a million times. We used to back in the day not do this. And the worst thing that I experienced as a practitioner is when someone says at 12 weeks of care, 3 months, they say, "I felt good, but now I feel like I went backwards in the second set of the 6 week interval. So I felt awesome for the first month and a half, and then I feel like I went backwards, and now I just don't feel great." That was just like the ultimate disappointment, obviously for me, but for them. And so this is what got us thinking, like, okay, we got to reevaluate how we do things because we don't want people to hit a plateau, number one, and let alone hit a plateau and then feel like they went backwards. But in reflecting on this, because you guys know I'm always reflecting on everything. Like, I feel like I'm such like this introspective thinker when I do these podcasts because I realize how I'm always essentially overanalyzing everything. But I think it's all for good reason to to help people think outside of the box. And to help people understand deeper meanings to things that they're experiencing, opposed to just putting a label on something being good or bad. So a plateau is not good or bad. It's just a feedback mechanism. It's there to say, like, hey, change what you're fucking doing, ideally with some level of science and direction so that you don't waste time or money or energy. But I think it's also telling us something about mindset. So I want to explain the easier to understand, more practical, logical version of this. People hit a plateau in 6 weeks because you start with a set of recommendations. And that set of recommendations is going to be targeting very specific things. I'm speaking in the context of how we work, just FYI. I'm not speaking for every person in my industry. But if we're working on upregulating the function of certain organs, and we're also working on clearing certain things out, all of that is going to work really well. And then the body will build up a bit of a resistance. And if we are helping your body to excrete pathogens out, like parasites or fungus or bacteria, those pathogens will develop a resistance to what you're doing also. And so essentially, two examples. So if you're using a product to kill a parasite in your body, it will be effective. And then the parasites will learn how to become resistant to the killing agent because they're very intelligent and they evolve. It could be a similar situation when you have pests in your house, you have ants or you have mice or something like that, and you use a certain product and it gets rid of them. And then they come back the next summer, you use the same product and it doesn't work anymore. Those ants evolved and learned how to become resistant to the original thing that you used to eradicate them. Same thing goes inside of the body. With the organs, you'll introduce something to help them, and then that will run its course. It will work. It could be a certain type of supplement that you're using to help the liver function better, or it might be a certain frequency you're using through a PEMF device to get the liver working better. And then the body's like, okay, I used this. I got where I am, but this is not going to take me any further. So now we need to introduce a different strategy in order to continue that progress. If you're a business owner, which I know a lot of our listeners are, it's the same idea. Is you have a very specific strategy to get you from A to B in your business. You reach that point, and then chances are what's going to get you from B to C, essentially your next phase of growth in your business, your next phase of profitability, your next phase of a playing team, you need a different strategy. And again, same exact idea happens in the body. I will probably butcher this to hell for you sports people because this is usually what Dr. Nick chimes in on because I did not play team sports as a kid. But same idea. You want to win a game, then you have a strategy. If you want to win, the playoffs, or you want to win against a better team, different strategy. So hopefully that actually made sense. Okay, so that's the gist when it comes to the physicality, the physiological reasons why people would hit a plateau at 6 weeks, and you now need a new strategy to keep the progress going. It's not that you're fucked, it's not that there's something wrong, it's not that it was a waste of time. No, it's just a feedback mechanism to say, let's do something different now so that we can continue moving in the right direction. But here is my biggest insight as I've thought about this more, is that part of this is mindset. And what I mean by that is a lot of us, not everyone, but a lot of us don't necessarily live a life of self-service. A lot of times we've been taught that the right thing to do, being quote unquote a good person, is helping others, being altruistic. It's, making sure that we appreciate others, we make other people happy, living a life of service, serving our families, serving our kids, serving our customers, serving our distant family members, serving our friends, like it's selfish to only think of yourself or care for yourself. It's best and it's a good thing to do. It's a noble thing to do in order to help others, take care of others, think of others, be kind to others, etc. And so if you didn't grow up that way, this isn't going to land for you. But I think that at some point, either our parents instilled this on us, teachers instilled this on us, religion instilled this on us as society. It came from a lot of different angles. It's not necessarily saying that your parents were the sole people that were telling you to operate this way, but at some point, it's been told to you it's better to serve others than to serve yourself because serving yourself is selfish. And sure as hell serve your spouse and your kids and your mom and your dad and all of those people before serving yourself. But then, you have that simple example on the plane is put your fucking mask on because if you die, you can't help anybody. And it's, these little subtle reminders of it's really not a great way to operate is to put everyone before you. So, getting back to the topic is if this is the first time that you are putting yourself first, you are doing some level of self-care, you are prioritizing yourself by starting your own health journey, your own health protocol, your own health program, there's a level of empowerment with that. There's a level of like, I fucking deserve this. Like that my time is now. And that is a higher vibration mindset. That is a more empowered mindset. It is a more enlightened mindset because you are serving yourself, knowing that if you serve yourself and become the best version of yourself, become the healthiest version of yourself, you can better serve everyone else. But everybody getting the glass half empty version of you is actually not fucking helping anyone. And I'm going to say that again. If you're the best version of yourself, you are impacting everyone around you, including your kids and your spouse, more than you could ever fucking imagine. If you're the burnt out, tired, exhausted, unhealthy person, you're not fucking serving anybody. Let's be real. Like, if anybody told you differently, they're fucking stupid. So don't get me on a rant. So, if you are all pumped up that you are serving yourself, you're in an empowered state of mind. Maybe there's a little placebo with the healing process. I'll be the first one to say it. Who the fuck cares if you get better, if it's placebo or not? You're getting better. But there might be a level of placebo because you are putting yourself at the forefront of your life for maybe one of the first times in your life. It's one of the first times that you said, I'm fucking important and I'm going to take care of myself. And then weeks go by and you're like, is this real life? Can I keep spending this money? Can I keep doing this? Do I realistically have the time? There's just so much going on. I guess I don't think I can sustain this. I can't do this forever. This isn't real life. I have to get back to normal. Think about that. Think about that mindset that creeps up for so fucking many of us. I got to get back to normal. What the fuck is normal? Is normal running around as a mom, taking your kids to 75 different sporting events and dance classes and extracurricular programs that they won't give a shit about, even in their 20s, let alone their 30s, 40s, and 50s? But the thing, you ask any older person what they remember from their childhood. If they hate their parents, maybe they'll remember their sporting events because they got them out of the house. But for the most part, people are reporting memories with people that they cared for or care for. That's what they're reporting. They were reporting the time everybody laughed until they fucking peed their pants around the bonfire outside that cost you nothing. You had some firewood and some s'mores. Like they don't remember the fact that you dropped multi thousands of dollars on the best dance classes and multi thousands of dollars on traveling sports and everything else. Maybe that was fun and maybe that introduced them to their best friend. But if anything, most of those sports are a lot of fucking pressure for a developing mind. And there might be aspects that are fun and they're getting access to achievement and what it's like to win, but is it also coming with an equal amount of drawbacks? Because in my experience, it is. So when we talk about this idea of get back to normal, what the fuck is normal? Your normal is I got to work, I got to be on call for everybody. I got to take my kids all these places. I got to make sure that we're doing this and doing that so they're well developed and, they're stimulated. And, I got to go here and I got to go there and I got to do this and I got to do that. And at the end of the day, half that shit doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter the next day. It doesn't matter a week later. It doesn't matter 20 years from now. And I think the more that people can start reevaluating what their fucking normal is, they're going to lead a life of more inspiration than desperation. If you ask yourself every time you're faced with a decision, is this a decision out of inspiration or desperation? You would start really understanding why you feel stressed, overwhelmed, tired, and chaotic. And guess what? The decision out of desperation is when you have 15 fucking excuses as to why you're doing it. I ask my clients, okay, your son being in traveling soccer, is this a decision out of inspiration or desperation? Oh, it's definitely inspiration, because he likes it and he feels, accomplished and it really helps him with exercise. And, his friends are there and the other kids in the neighborhood do it and this and that. And I'm like, you just gave me a bunch of excuses as to why you have him in traveling soccer, but how is it actually inspirational for your child, for you, and for your family dynamic? And then they go into it again. Oh, well, and I'm like, those were still all desperate excuses. But if you told me that he's in it because he thoroughly enjoys it, it completely aligns to his top values of, being out in nature, challenging his physical body, connection because he is with all of his friends, and then this allows him to come home to his family dynamic and be more calm and more present, and to be more connected at the dinner table through family conversations. Oh, that's awesome. That's all out of inspiration. That makes perfect sense why you guys are doing that. But if you gave me a bunch of excuses of why he should do it or why he does do it or why it's the best thing for him to have friends or it's the best thing for him to get his, physical energy out because he's bad in school, eh, that's no, that doesn't make any sense. So the moral of the story is that health is not a linear journey. It's not a one bucket. It spills out into everything and everything spills into it. So your family dynamic, your career, your work dynamic, your partnership dynamic with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, whatever, your relationship with your kids, all of this is playing into your well-being, and your well-being is playing a role into that. So if you're working with practitioners that are isolating out your health and just giving you more and more supplements, guess what? You're gonna hit a fucking plateau because it's not exactly how it works. And if you are the person that you go all or nothing, oh, I'm going to give this my all. I'm going to be so hardcore. Doc, I'm going to do this perfectly. Personally, for me, I'm like, if that's the mindset you're in, we need to reevaluate if we're going to work together. I don't need you to be all or nothing for 6 weeks and then burn yourself out and then shift back into old mindset programs that are telling you that this isn't realistic, this isn't sustainable, this isn't real life, this isn't affordable, etc. I need you to make micro changes and I need you to be up leveling your mindset in the process of this journey. And if you can do that, you are going to create something that is sustainable and creating more longevity. If you go balls to the wall and you do the most intense protocol, this, that, supplements, oh, I'm going to go to the gym every day and I'm going to eat perfect. I'm going to never eat this, and this, and this again. Good luck. And if you've done it already, you quit. You know you gave up because it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't realistic. But what is realistic is having your physical health and your mental health meet in the middle and prioritizing both of them and being able to understand the hierarchy of what's going on in your mind and your body and knowing what's the one thing that I need to tackle, the most foundational thing that I need to tackle in order to make progress. And then to also know that, bad symptoms, no symptoms, different symptoms are just a feedback mechanism. And if you have the right people on your team to help you see that and to help you troubleshoot accordingly, then you can then come up with the new strategy that meets your mind and your body as to where it's at in that current moment. Because there's nothing wrong with you. You don't have bad luck or bad genes. This is just a matter of a shift in strategy. Because guess what? If what you're doing is working, you're changing. So why wouldn't your protocol change in a few weeks? So I hope this was insightful. I hope this ruffled your fucking feathers too. But I hope this gives you insight as to why you maybe have hit a plateau. It also possibly prevents you from hitting a plateau in the future. And also understanding that your mind is extremely powerful. I don't want to say in your healing journey. It is powerful in your healing journey. It's powerful in all circumstances of life. And if I could also invite you to really think more critically about your decisions. Stop making decisions quickly. Stop thinking you don't have time. Pause and think about it long enough to be able to line item, write it out. What is this decision rooted in? Is it rooted in more desperation or inspiration? You can list out all the reasons you're making the decision and then go next to each one of those reasons. Is this actually rooted in inspiration? Is this aligned to where I'm going with my life? Is this aligned to my perfect vision of life? Is this aligned to my top values? Does this align to who I am at my core? Does this feel good? Does this feel right? Does this feel scary? Okay, I'm down for scary if it feels aligned that this is going to move my life in the direction that I want it to be. Or is this a decision out of desperation that I should, could, need to, have to? Replay that part, guys. All right, I'll see you on the next one.